How did a medical emergency expose your best friend's darkest secret? My best friend Marcus collapsed in my apartment during our usual Friday night gaming session. One second he was laughing at some stupid joke I made about his terrible aim in Call of Duty. The next second he was on the floor, his whole body jerking, eyes rolled back in his head. I called 911 immediately while trying to remember what you're supposed to do during a seizure. The operator stayed on the line, telling me to time it, to make sure he didn't hurt himself, to turn him on his side. It lasted maybe 2 minutes but felt like 20. The paramedics arrived fast, asking questions I mostly couldn't answer. Did he have a history of seizures? I said no, but I realized I didn't actually know. How long had I known him? 4 years? Since he'd moved to Seattle for work. Was he on any medications? I had no idea. They loaded him into the ambulance and I grabbed his phone and wallet off my coffee table to bring with me. In the emergency room, I sat in the waiting area while they ran tests. That's when I noticed the first weird thing. Marcus's wallet had fallen open in my lap and his driver's license was visible. But the name on it wasn't Marcus Chen. It was David Reeves. I stared at it, confused. Maybe he went by his middle name, but Marcus didn't seem like a middle name for David. I checked the birth date, March 15th, 1989. Marcus had told me his birthday was in October. I'd thrown him a party 8 months ago. His phone kept buzzing in my pocket, text messages coming through even though it was locked. The preview showed enough to read the first lines. Status update required from a number with a 703 area code. Confirm location immediately from another unknown number. Protocol violation will result in termination from someone named Catherine. None of Marcus's actual friends texted like that. We sent memes and talked about basketball and complained about our jobs. These messages sounded official, almost military. The nurse called me up to the desk and asked for Marcus's insurance information. I handed her the wallet. She looked at the ID, typed something into her computer, frowned. This card isn't in our system. Does he go by another name? I told her that was the only ID he had. She tried a few more searches, then said they couldn't find any medical records for David Reeves at any hospital in Washington state, like he'd never been to a doctor here, like he didn't exist in their system at all. I went back to the waiting room and opened his wallet more carefully. Behind the driver's license was another ID, this one with a different photo but the same face. Different name entirely. Christopher Walsh. Different birth date. Different state. My hands were shaking. Why did my best friend have multiple identities? A doctor finally came out and said Marcus was stable, that the seizure seemed to be a one-time event caused by extreme stress, but they wanted to keep him overnight for observation. She asked if I could list his emergency contacts. I said I didn't know any family, that Marcus had always said he was estranged from his parents. The doctor looked uncomfortable. She said they'd found a medical alert bracelet under his shirt. It listed an emergency contact, but the number had a DC area code. They'd called it, and someone was flying in tonight. I asked who it was. She said she couldn't share that information, but they'd identified themselves as his handler. Handler, like he was a dog, or an asset. I sat there for 3 hours, my mind racing through 4 years of friendship, looking for clues I'd missed. Marcus worked in tech, but I'd never visited his office. He traveled constantly for work, always last-minute trips he couldn't talk about. He'd get weird phone calls that he'd step outside to take. He never posted on social media. He paid for everything in cash. At 11 p.m., a woman in a dark suit walked through the ER doors and went straight to the nurse's desk. She didn't check in or ask for directions. She knew exactly where to go. The nurse pointed toward Marcus's room, and the woman headed that way without stopping. I followed her. I don't know why. Maybe because 4 years of friendship meant I deserved answers. Maybe because I was angry that my best friend had been lying to me this whole time. I got to the room just as she was closing the door. Through the window, I could see her standing next to Marcus's bed. He was awake now, and the look on his face when he saw her was pure fear. I pushed the door open. The woman spun around, her hand moving to her hip where I could see the outline of a weapon under her jacket. That's when I saw what was really happening, and everything I thought I knew about Marcus shattered completely. The rest of the story is on my channel or linked below.